Hello and welcome to Weekends with Whitney. I'm your host, Whitney Allen. Thanks for joining us this Saturday and Sunday. Today we are talking about bullying. Now it's something that we've all dealt with in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully you're not the bully, but we've probably all been on both sides. I'm joined by Brooke Majors, a licensed clinical psychologist who's here to talk about bullying. Welcome to the set.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm glad you're here because this is a topic that is serious and I don't feel like it's addressed enough.
You know what? It isn't, and it's something, that has been going on, back from, when I was in school. Things have morphed and changed, however, in terms of how bullying is now as it was back then.
That's so true. As we were getting ready for the show, I was thinking back, and my initial thought was, I was never bullied. But the more we started stacking the show with different guests, I started thinking back even to second grade. And then I was like, you know what? There were some examples of bullying in my childhood, and I feel like we've all gone through that, some more significant than others. In fact, it's even been deadly in some cases, and I feel like that's one of the reasons we have to get it out there. It has to be that open conversation that people are starting to talk about.
Well, and there's so many different types of bullying.
Right.
We all have kind of the image of, the physical aggression, but there's also, verbal aggression and then indirect things that can be done, in terms of, like I said, the cyberbullying. So
Yes.
things posted on the internet, texting, emailing.
Let's talk about this cyberbullying. When does it really start occurring? Like the cyber, like what age can it start occurring?
That this will sound alarming, but as young as second grade.
Second grade.
Second grade,
for
absolutely.
cyber and just normal bullying.
Yes, because kids nowadays are, tech savvy, and so they are on the internet, and they are able to do things, and I think parents are neglecting to realize that it's a problem that's very early on.
Absolutely. So going further into cyberbullying, we're talking about texting, emailing,
Blogs, posting pictures. Things will go viral in a matter of seconds.
One thing, not saying that one bully form is better than the other, but with, I think, the cyber side, it's always documented. And people need to remember that what you say about someone is documented for years.
Well, and it's not even so much that it's documented, it's that it's relentless. It's 24 hours a day.
That's a good point.
Whereas the victim used to be able to go home and it could be a safe haven, it's no longer like that. So it's just a constant torture that they have to be put through.
Wow. Is there any steps that you feel like people could do to avoid being bullied? Or
it's not so much in terms of avoiding bullying. It's really more how schools and parents can get involved. Schools do a really good job of doing school-wide prevention and not just focusing on the bully and the victim, that it affects everyone. But parents also need to have the difficult conversation with their kids, just as they would with, drugs or sex.
Right.
And it can't be something, like abstinence training, like that would be ideal,
Right.
But that's in practice, that's not the reality. So
why is that? Because people don't think it's like, maybe it's kind of like that. They just have to get initiated into school. Every kid gets picked on.
Yeah, there is some of that attitude, but it's also, it's technology. We can't completely shelter our kids from it. It's harmless. They're not on the internet that much, but it's not monitored. And a lot of kids will be really embarrassed at all of the things that are put on blogs and texting that they won't want to go to someone or an adult to even let them know what's going on.
Now there's some new laws going on with this in several states. What's the newest?
Yeah, there are. About 6 or 7 states have started to pass actual laws against bullying. New Jersey is one of which that has one of the more severe laws against bullying, which I think is wonderful. But there also are laws for digital harassment.
Right.
So that's kind of the route that people are going. But it's being taken more and more seriously.
Now you touched something earlier that really struck. You were saying bullying can be physical.
Yeah, in terms of, I would like to say that it's just boys that do this, but it's
Right.
girls as well, where it's, instead of just verbally, making fun of someone, physical fights will ensue. So,
Wow.
yeah.
See, I forgot. See, when I think of bullying, I think of like the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words
Right.
won't ever harm me.
You
Well,
know-
they do harm people, and people are now taking action. But Brooke, I feel like this physical stuff you're talking about is really, that's bad news.
Well, it's, you have to remember that bullying is any repeated negative action with the intent to harm. So it's on a continuum. So that can go from, yes, the physical of punching and, seriously harming people, but it's no less harmful than the indirect bullying that goes on with cyberbullying. In fact, in my own practice and experience, that's been some of the worst.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I know that you've worked with children that have been bullied, and I kind of wanted to touch on what you were seeing out there. Like, what was the effects of it on them?
Gosh, the effects are huge. I wish I could say very specifically what they would be, but kids that are just, yeah, there's a range, but self-esteem, depression, suicidal ideation, and sometimes they get really angry and will act it out in other ways and become bullies themselves, because bullies and victims are not mutually exclusive. Yeah, they flip-flop.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that we talked about this. We're opening it up today. I feel like you did a great job explaining it more. Okay, guys, we've talked about bullies whenever you're a kid and growing up, but coming up next, you might not be able to get away from them. They're even in the workplace. We'll be right back.
This portion of Weekends with Whitney was brought to you by Grooming by Galdi, located at 7007 North Sheridan Road in Chicago's Rogers Park.